So my son's Alex, 4, best friend Jay, 7, lives across the street. A year ago or so I suggested a playdate at ours. His mom was happy about that, because I can focus on my older one for an afternoon and help her with schoolwork. My son was genuinely super excited and we prepared games and ordered pizza and it was super fun. What began as a planned once-in-a-while playdate turned into weekly unpaid babysitting sessions for me. Mind you, I work part-time, my husband full-time. I am still in uni and we don't have a support system here, since we live far away from any family or friends. Every weekend for about 6 weeks straight he would come over unannounced and spend 3 to 5 hours at ours. If we had plans to go somewhere it was always a cry parade from my 4-year-old since he didn't understand why his best friend had to leave. Fast forward to a month or so ago, I ran into Jay's mom and we talked a bit. I told her how stressed I was with uni and everything and I had some midterms coming up, which were super important and needed my full attention. She never once offered to have Alex over for a change, which is fair. I didn't ask her directly and she has no obligation to offer. But what she did next was where I drew the line. The following week, Alex and Jay were playing outside with my husband, whilst I was studying for my upcoming exams. An hour or so later it started pouring and they decided to come back inside our apartment. It was around 1 p.m. I told Jay he had to ask his mom first before he was allowed to stay here and I'd rather him stay home with his family since I had to study and my husband was going out with some friends, which had been planned for weeks since his friends live in another city. He called his mom and she said that it was okay for him to stay there, since she had stuff to do anyway. She runs a business and her busiest days are usually on weekends. I was left flabbergasted, but I didn't want to break my son's heart and also I felt bad for Jay. So I let it pass without saying anything. I know my mistake. What started as a short stay ended with them sending his sister to pick him up at around 9 p.m. because Jay's mom, husband, and older daughter decided to go to an event site Jay's mom was hosting or something and spend the whole day there. Without even saying a word. Side note, Jay's grandparents live 5 minutes down the street, where she could have dropped him off any time. Of course I texted and called her during the day. She said she was working and they would be home back soon to pick Jay up. Honestly, I was pissed. She didn't even care to come pick him up herself and thank me for looking after her child for a whole day. She just sent me a WhatsApp saying thank you heartsuit, that's it. Since this happened I have not allowed Jay to come over anymore. I feel used and not appreciated. Am I the bad guy? ////////////// ****************************************************************************************************************̱ I do agree that I lacked communication with the mom. I am a people pleaser, working on it for the sake of my son, but it's deeply instilled and very difficult sometimes to not be that way. Still I think or rather my kindness got taken advantage of, especially because she never really asked for me to watch him, because she needed to work, never asked if it was okay for him to be here every weekend for weeks on end and never really showed any kind of appreciation that I fed and took care of her son whilst she did I don't know what. Jay got a Nintendo Switch for his birthday last September and Alex has been asking Jay if he's allowed to come over and play Pokemon. Never once has Jay's moms agreed to this even though I've asked a couple times to bring Alex over. I told Alex we're not going to ask anymore and that they will come back to us whenever it fits their schedule, which is never apparently. We invented them for Alex's birthday but they decided not to come, because of family time. Of course Alex was sad, but he has lots of other friends so it was fine. This was before I stood my ground, mind you. I can't help but think they didn't attend, because I explicitly said parents need to attend and watch after. Story continues.